Hello, everybody. Welcome to this really incredible webinar. As you can tell right off the bat, we have just some really incredible women in real estate here. Honestly, I'm so thankful for every single panelist here that have, taken your time to be with us tonight, and honestly, just to pour into you, to share very genuinely and honestly about what it's like to be, a leader in the real estate industry. And we are here to just share with you about our real estate businesses, what we do in the back end, all the challenges and craziness and good days and bad days and learnings that we've gone through. If we can help you in any way, shape, or form to move forward your business, to gain clarity in any area of your life, this is what we really aim to do here tonight. They offer value to the real estate industry in general. Thank you. Yes, I'll introduce myself. My name is Adriana Ostapenko. I own Ace Properties, which is an asset management company. We mostly manage multifamily assets and land development as well. I have a couple of other businesses that I run in the real estate industry, including a virtual agency which supports real estate professionals with things like bookkeeping, back-end, CRM, systems, social media, marketing, and a bunch of others. My business partner, Megan, is on the call as well for that business. So it's been a passion project, and it's been something that's come out of just wanting to really help and give. I also raise capital, and that's a huge part of what I do in my asset management company. I bring in all of our investors for our multifamily long-term buy and holds, and I do project management. We do have quite a few large construction projects on the go, a 50 units repurposing project, which is one of our largest to date. We're finalizing another 6-unit project. So we do quite a few things and provide investors with an opportunity to grow their portfolios in the multifamily side, as well as supporting real estate investors that are just starting their businesses. So I'm so happy to be here with these incredible women. I do have prepared some questions for them, and I'm going to dive in because I really want to hear it. As I was writing the questions, I got super excited. I'm like, I want to hear from each one of you. And then we're going to open up to questions from the audience as well. I'm just going to follow through. I'm going to start with Zara. Zara, I know we know each other really well. I know you've grown your real estate law firm, Marani Law, for over a decade now. Congratulations on that. I know it's been a lot of sweat and tears and hard work towards it. What would you say have been the top 2 or 3 factors that you credit your success and growth to in your law business? Really tips that other women can implement and other women and men can implement in growing their businesses.
Thank you. I would say to start with, just going back back that 10 and a half years, I crazily signed a lease, registered the business, and found out I was pregnant with my daughter, my first daughter, all in 24 hours, and that I was moving back from the UK to open the firm. And now I was having a baby and leaving my husband in the UK to finish his residency because, eventually over that process, there comes a point where you can't fly. So mindset is really, really a big one for the first, I would say because the moment towards the end of that 24 hours when my sister and I, so my sister's my business partner and she practices in immigration law, and she and I decided I was moving back. My plan was to move back from the UK like the next year, over the course of that year. I didn't think it was going to happen as quickly as it had to happen because I had to fly at a certain point. That we were I was going to do the business setup. She was going to start the practice of the immigration side. And then when I got settled, I would start in the real estate side over time. So, in the startup phases, you're like, it's all blood, sweat, and tears. And like, I did the first website and the first, like all the drafting and, I remember all the different things that go with that. And so mindset, because I remember we had signed the lease, set up the whole business. And then literally within 24 hours, I was like, wow, I'm pregnant. To share with you all, you're all women. I had a lot of trouble and I didn't know if that was actually going to come to fruition at the time. And I remember having this thought, God will only give me what I can handle. So I'm going forward with it all. And I also put my all into it. My sister was like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to do that. I'm like, this is going to work for me. There's no if and or but about it. I'm not doing this to not make it work. It has to work, and that is what's going to happen. So I carried on. We got started, and just when my daughter was about 8-9 months, I was about to start. So I worked through labor and from home nursing. I remember closing deals, like nursing my daughter, and I'm like nursing her to keep her quiet so I could close with the other lawyer. And when she was 9 months, I found out my son was on his way, miraculously. So they're 17 months apart. Manfred has another one, and she opened a law practice at that point. And you know what, at that point, you got to do what you got to do. So, I put on my, like, I guess your super mom powers. And I remember even a week after I got back full time into the office, I never took mat leave. I worked from home the entire time, but I was still with the kids. And when I got back into the office, after my second had just turned 1, and I was actually working peacefully away from them. The vacation was like a vacation, going to the office. I said to my sister, who's my business partner, I don't think I could ever do what I did for the last 2 years ever again, because I have no idea how I did it. Like, it's a blur. But we did it, and we got through it. And since then, it's like, we've grown, we've gone through so many different phases of the business. So that would be one, mindset. And 2 would be relationships. Relationships are so key. We rarely take on new clients at this point, and only from our existing network. So I'm not huge on social media. I don't want to blow up. I want to provide a boutique service. My mandate is that I want to provide a great service to my clients and be able to help them grow their real estate wealth and create wealth for their families. And I absolutely love to watch that happen. It's a passion of mine, and it keeps me going and it keeps me growing. So without the network and the relationships that I have and the trust that we have amongst each other, I think I'd be looking for clients every day. And there are a lot of real estate lawyers who go through decades and decades of their practice, and they come to points like today where we're 47% down in the market, and they're like, I got to close my practice because I have no new clients, because they treated their transactions like a conveyor belt. It was just like one in, one out, one in, one out, and they constantly advertising and constantly asking and cutting their prices and trying to compete. And I believe in creation, not competition. And I believe that has given us an absolute solid footing in the first decade of our practice. So now we just started our second decade, where it will be 11 this September.
Congratulations. I love that. Obviously, really 2 key things here. One is mindset. You gotta have the mindset to be able to get you through tough times, good times, scaling times, all of it. And obviously,
and days like today.
Yes, exactly. How do you keep going, right? And then relationships, which is the core of every single business out there, is relationships. So I love that. Really great tips, Zara. I'm going to move on to Sarah. Sarah Etter, you have grown rapidly in real estate over the last few years. A large part of scaling real estate are partnerships and raising capital. I know myself, this is what it takes for you to scale. We would love to hear from you. What are some of the learnings that allowed you to upgrade your raising capital game? So I've had to upgrade mine over and over again. I love to hear from you. What it has taken you to upgrade your raising capital game?
Oh, that's a great question. I love talking about raising capital. So thank you for this question. Honestly, I think it's probably what people don't expect. I think when we think about raising capital, we think about the money. And I think Zara said it right, and it's relationships. And I think that, in the beginning, I was very transactional. I was very, do the deal, get the money, do the deal, get the money. And I think once I started to do larger deals, and once I needed to systemize and get more consistent flow of money, I realized that it's not about getting the money, it's who's behind the money. Because especially for myself, I do a lot of joint venture partnerships, and those are long-term marriages. That's what I call them. And who's behind the money is just as important as the money itself. And so once I really learned how to leverage relationships, once I started to focus on who's behind the money, and becoming the best partner that I could for these individuals, I felt like the caliber of investor that I was starting to attract became higher and higher. And I found that capital raising was a lot easier as well, because I was starting to get more word of mouth. And then I was getting investors wanting to, repeat deals. And similar to Zara, I'm in my 5th year of business this year, and I have a very small core group of JVs and money partners. Now, I don't typically need to go and seek out a lot of outside capital. Now it comes from the same core group or referrals within that small community. And it's great because all of our values align, all of our mindset and outlook towards real estate is similar. That's another thing I learned is, sometimes I think we get, I don't want to say desperate, but sometimes, for those of you here who are doing kind of your first deals and really trying to connect it and make it happen, you're kind of just willing to take any money from anyone and just kind of scrambling and desperate to get the deals done. And what I really had to shift was my mindset and understanding that there is so much money out there, and we can't just take the first, 50 grand that comes our way. We need to be in that abundance mindset where it's like, there is going to be money out there. There's the right partner for me. The capital's already out in the universe. You just have to become kind of like the best JV version of yourself, if you want to call it that, to really manifest or really attract that type of partner or that type of capital. And once I stopped just taking random money and once I just allow myself to be calm and just believe in the process and let the right people come to me, I just felt so much more fulfilled. It became easier. It became more pleasurable, the people that I was talking to. So I would say my biggest advice is just don't panic. There's more money out there than you can possibly imagine. Just because people like myself and Adriana and Zara, you see us raising all this money, there's no ceiling to that. There's always more money out there, and there's the right partners for you. So just be patient, focus on yourself, focus on the relationships, and the money will come, but pick good quality money and don't just go after the first dollars.
I love that. I love the idea of you need to be the perfect partner to attract the perfect partner. It all starts here first. I need to be in the right place and alignment to attract the partner that's in the right place and alignment. So I love that. Really great tip. Thanks, Sarah. I'm going to ask Ilona a question. You started your active real estate career in development. You scaled significantly in a really short period of time as well, which is a really common story here tonight. From developing 8-unit apartment buildings in Toronto to whole subdivisions. What made you choose land development?
There's a couple reasons why. I think in the beginning, the actual build side was really attractive to me, and I love to see something come to fruition. My dad is in the trades, and so is my brother. And the way that I started in real estate investing was actually by buying pre-construction, and I would every Sunday go and drive by and see it, and it was exciting. And the construction process was actually exciting to me more so than buying something that's existing. So that's kind of what made me get into the conversion side and the build side. And then while I was doing the build, and I kind of did from A to Z, from finding the property and raising the money and doing the permits and taking it through the process, doing the whole construction, doing the build, renting out the units, stabilizing, refining, like the whole thing. I realized a lot of our profits were made in the planning portion of the project. So that's what made me want to move into just strictly land development, because the faster turnaround time, there's a lot of money to be made in just the planning process with a little less risk. So that's what I love about the development side, is especially when you know where to buy and what you're doing, and you have those the key people on your team, like planners and such, and you're familiar with the official plan and what the city wants. It's quite easy to then go target those areas and find the properties that can yield those kinds of returns. As well as there are multiple exit options and multiple times in which you can exit on the land development side. So that was really appealing to me. And then again, after doing the construction, we did construction in the middle of COVID, and we tried to build, we did build a few buildings, and as you know, the cost of everything just exploded. So it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, the planning portion was amazing. The construction portion was not as great. And I realized that I could stay in the deal and execute until the end, which is to build ultimately, and to keep the asset. But in that case, I would now JV or partner with a builder and exit my investors from the first round. So there's just so many different options, different exits, different times, different money to be made, and options is what I love. And some people think development's a little bit riskier. I do have an appetite for risk, higher returns. But that's kind of where I landed. So yeah.
I love that. That's a lot of clarity to have to like understand once you've gone through the whole process. I've done the similar things in my business. Now I'm looking back and I'm starting to pick out the areas that make more sense, that I enjoy the most, that I can get the most return in as well. So I love that. Thank you. Such amazing experience. Donata, you are building your real estate business really around your desired lifestyle, because we've had really deep conversations about this in the past. You have created an Airbnb arbitrage business in multiple locations, including different states in the US, as well as in Dominican Republic as well. Which is incredible. What are the three tips you can give us on buying properties in foreign countries and operating them from a distance?
Yeah, I think the key tips kind of fall back to your power team. It's a real estate fundamental is having the right team on your side. So having a really good realtor who understands how to work with investors, being very clear on your criteria as well. So knowing what type of property you're looking for and who the demographic is that you're going to serve, specifically if you're going to get into short-term or mid-term rentals. Before Airbnb, there was always vacation rentals. And before, mid-term rentals, there was always corporate stays. So just kind of really identifying who your niche and your demographic is and what they need in order to make sure that you're picking the right properties for that. Also, just, I think, understanding a particular market in general. It's an interesting time internationally in terms of the US dollar is going down, pending recession. There's talk about like Airbnb bust and oversaturation. So that's why I think it's really important to just really understand your demographic. I think there's a great opportunity in the market right now to pick up really great deals because what I'm finding in a lot of the Caribbean countries and stuff, there are a lot of people trying to exit out of their opportunities because they bought high, and as the US dollar goes down, so do their profits. So I think like right now there's really a really great time to pick things up, as well as in the US. There's a lot of people who bought Airbnbs or have arbitrage deals and may not be managing them properly or have the right kind of insight to be able to sustain and maintain their profits or switch up their strategy as needed and really target the right demographic and are relying heavily on the platform. So I think, again, understanding who the demographic is, not relying on the platforms is also key to really understand these businesses and attract customers and revenue. And I think, just right off the top, if you're going international, try to pick a later stage in construction if you want to do a vacation rental, because guests generally don't like traveling with major construction going on. And I think as well, align yourself with the right B2B partners. So especially working internationally, I mentioned the power team, but aside from realtors, cleaning companies, other property managers, I think creating good B2B relationships with people who also want to grow and scale their business can create really good win-wins. So as
your business grows, their business grows, they give you referrals, you give them referrals, you go together, and it also creates like an alignment. You're on the same page, you have the same values, your systems integrate, you're working together, and everything is kind of flowing. And I think that's really the key to being able to, one, identify the right properties to pick, and then for the day two management long term.
I love that. There's I know, because I invest long distance, but within the country, there's like a fear of like going to invest in the DR. It's a different language, a different country, different culture. I think there's just a certain level of like confidence and braveness, is that a word? Boldness that you need to have. And I love that about you, that you're doing this. So congratulations on it all. I'm sure we're gonna, be visiting it all soon, hopefully. I'm gonna dive in with a little tip on my end. I was able to scale my real estate portfolio from roughly 20 units to about 130 units in about 2 years. And really just wanted to dive into what allowed me to do that. First of all, I did that in the multifamily space. I am a multifamily person. I quite enjoyed the model. And, specifically what made me choose multifamily is I like the stability of it. I'm very conservative in nature. I like that I get to buy the building. I know exactly what it's worth. Multifamily allows you to really know what you're buying from day one. It's a simple math. It's different than residential. I still have a residential portfolio, but I can easily calculate how much something is worth, how much income I need to raise to bring it to the value that I need to be. I love that what it does on the long term as well. And I really love the ability to hold long term, be able to refinance over and over again. I really like businesses that will pay me more than once versus transactional businesses that you do a transaction and now you go into another client. I like businesses that I can purchase. I make money in the front end. I make money during ownership and maintenance. I make money in the back end, and I really appreciate that about multifamily. It's one of the really great things I like about it. And in terms of the scale itself, what I owe the scale to was really just zooming in. I love to advise people to find a model that works for you, find an area that works for you, and then rinse and repeat. So we did the same with our smaller multifamily residential portfolio. Just picked an area, picked a model, and then moved fast, and we're able to achieve quite a bit in a short period of time. And we did the same thing on the multifamily. Picked an area, picked a market. We've been able to grow and build an infrastructure because we were able to zoom in, have proof of concept. We know what we're doing. We were able to create relationships, B2B relationships in the area, and building for infrastructure around what we do. And then we can just rinse and repeat. So that's a couple of things that have allowed us to scale quite fast as well. Appreciate all of you. I'm going to hop into a second round of questions here. I did have a couple of questions on here, so I just wanted to give it a minute. Somebody asked, they just really wanted some tips on the raising capital side. I'm just going to dive into that for 1 second here. Something that I think that helps with the raising of the capital is know what your product is, know who your audience is, and then talk to as many people as you possibly can. Like, you're going to talk to them, you're going to be excited about what you're raising capital for, you're going to be passionate about it, you're going to be knowledgeable about it, and you're just going to get the word out there. You're going to reach out to everybody that you think would be a good fit, if that's through social media, if that's through email campaigns, if that's through podcasts, if that's through like conversations and one-on-ones, whatever style that you have in your business. Know your product, be excited about it, know who you're selling to, and then talk to as many people as possible is how I go about raising capital. I'm gonna throw it back to Zara. You have been transacting in real estate for over a decade now, as we said, and you have witnessed different cycles of the market. You're also well known in the private lending space. With the recent market changes, how have you seen the shift in the market affect real estate transactions? And what are some of the ways and services you offer real estate investors that allows them to continue to grow their business during this crazy economic times?
Okay, so I'm going to start with your first, how has it affected real estate transactions? And I might get you to repeat the second part after that. But I'd also add to what Adriana said before is, don't be afraid of a no. Those people aren't meant for you when you're asking for capital. Do not be afraid, and don't be put down by it either. A no means you're closer to a yes, okay? So that was just one little, I thought I would add that. How I've seen it affect transactions. is today has been the day, I tell you. So transactions are being prolonged. Transactions are becoming, we saw in 2017 a little bit of what we're seeing now in terms of, it shifted from a buyer's market to a seller's market, and it takes time for the sellers. It takes time for that shift, the mindset shift between the buyers and the sellers to come to terms, because sellers are saying, I should have closed this house at 1.2. I don't want to close at 1. And buyers are thinking, shoot, I signed at 1.1 and 30 days ago or 60 days ago, and now I could buy it at 1. So like there's this, this holding it together, and then finance, throw finance in there, and you got a good juggle for the lawyers at the back end, because the appraisals are done somewhere in between, and then who's going to cover the shortfall, and if there's a shortfall, and so we're in a very different space. The answer is very different for different types of clients of mine, because I work with different types of real estate investors, but keeping it general, we're in, when we're in a downward market, you're in a very different space in terms of keeping your clients' mindset in the right check. We got to remind clients of the obligations that fall under the contract. A year and a half ago, people are like, yes, I bought a property, I'm so excited to close, and the appraisal comes in higher, and people are not hesitant. Money's cheap, life is easy, everybody's flowing, and all of a sudden, bam, you get caught in the middle. There's bridges that are expected to pay out, and then sales aren't happening, and private lending, people are expecting to pay out, and then all of a sudden the appraisal is low and the money isn't available, and how are they going to extend or renew, and the lender wants their money back. So there's a lot of management of people in that space, and that's really where I am involved in my practice at this point after about 11 years. My team, including my 25-year qualified real estate lawyer, senior lawyer, my clerks, all of us together, we have pretty much 100 years experience in real estate plus. We all take our roles. It's really important to have a really good ground team, so that for me personally, I can talk through the issues with the clients, because a lot of times they just want to be heard. They want you to know that, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out in my head because I have to close, and I know that I'm buying something that I have lost equity in already, or I can't, the monthly payments are going to be a real challenge. But once we talk through these things, we're fortunate in that we don't really deal with the first-time home buyer space much at all anymore. It's very rare. I think those buyers, they're seeing the lower cost, acquisition prices. So there's sort of breathing space in that, and they have their own challenges. But in my space, I would say, they were expecting that they could do more with their portfolios. We're really looking at this. A lot of people, even in the larger investing space, I have clients who worth north of $1.5 billion. They are, they're like, oh my God, my $38 million deal didn't close, and my second offer was $27 million. And you think, geez, for scale, that's crazy. But don't panic, because nothing's crystallized. Nothing is crystallized right now, unless you are in a contract period. So people who are thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? When we look at the numbers, when we talk about, okay, you don't have a problem with making the payments. You're just panicked because you can't move to your next lender, or you can't get out of the private deal and go to the bank yet. We're all in this boat. Everybody in the real estate investing space, we had it really easy. The money was flowing. We were all in this space where it was, let's face it, it was really quite an easy game for many years. And it's time to just buckle down and realize that we've enjoyed a ride. So we're generally up. If we've been in the business for years, we're not lost from where we started. On a global level, we're still a very attractive country. I hope that continues, because immigration is the other side of our practice. But so it's almost like counseling a lot of clients and hearing them, and then being understanding of their issues. Thankfully, most like our deals are closing. We don't have problems with not closing. We're leveling people out, with making sure that they're able to continue. It's not easy. But I think giving the time and not being a transactional lawyer, like despite being involved in transactions for people, but being a relationship-based lawyer has made my life a lot less challenging than a lot of other lawyers. So I hope that helps. And there was a second part, if I have time, you tell me.
So just very fast moving too. It feels low in some way, it feels really fast. Like from one quarter to the other, you see massive differences in the market and expectations and adjustments, and with everything that's going on. I appreciate your lawyer insight, which we all appreciate your input there. Thanks, Zara. I'm going to jump into Sarah Etter. You have implemented a number of different strategies. I remember hearing your talk at Synergy and just listening to your story and everything that you've done in your real estate journey already, from smaller multifamily JV partnerships to larger multifamily bursts to flips, education and coaching programs. What would you say is your favorite strategy to generate active income in real estate? I think we're all looking for a bit more income and cash flow right now. And has any of that changed to the market conditions?
That is such a great question. And it's one thing that I love to talk about with newer investors, especially ones who are thinking along the lines of a trajectory to kind of phase out of their 9-to-5, because I feel like we've kind of been like, we've all read the books, we've all listened to the podcast. And I think oftentimes we kind of make the mistake of becoming like property collectors a little bit in the beginning of our portfolio. It's like, BRRRR this, duplex convert that, yada, yada, yada. And then we kind of realize that, well, cash flow is okay, but, well, my boiler just broke last month and this happened and this maintenance issue happened. And what you find is that cash flow is very variable. And it's actually, in my opinion, very, very hard to quickly transition out of your 9-to-5 without active sources of income. And I think it's important for investors to understand that if you want to do this full time and you want to do it quickly, you need to kind of find a way to balance both components. You need active streams, you need passive streams, you need to be building your equity. And in the beginning, it's going to look a little more heavy on the active side, which maybe frustrates people. Hey, I have a 9-to-5. It's hard for me to build up active income, but realistically, you need to find things that can replace your corporate salary. And that's not going to be cash flow off like a duplex. Unfortunately, in Ontario, I'm sure you guys have been analyzing a lot of deals on MLS. Like there's no cash flow happening or very little right now. So in the early stages, I'll kind of use an example to just kind of show what I did when I transitioned out of my 9-to-5. So we did a lot of flipping, and it really went really nicely hand in hand with what I was doing because I did a lot of BRRRRs. So I was already finding rundown multiplexes and I was BRRRRing them and renovating them and re-tenanting them. So I was building that equity. But when I found really kind of other junky properties that I was like, well, I don't really want to keep this as a rental. Well, I'm already fixing it. I've already got the contractors. Let's just flip and sell. So that's always been a very foundational component to my portfolio. It helps supplement my lifestyle income. It helps me re-inject capital back into the equity portion of my portfolio. And I always suggest that when you're thinking of an active form of income, that you pick something that kind of just meshes nicely with something else that you're already continuing to do. Like if you do Airbnb, like you can start a design company, or if you are a developer, you could do like what Alona is doing and do like consulting, and like you can find nice ways to mash the long-term and the active income at the same time. So I would say I've always really enjoyed like wholesaling and flipping. Now today, I am not really flipping that much because the market is so unpredictable. And I'm also a bit of a conservative investor. So I look at, sometimes it's surging and sometimes it's going down. And I'm like, I don't really like what's happening right now. So instead, we've recently been expanding into the US for our multiplexes. So again, I like to mix like and like. We've started wholesaling in the US actually. So same kind of situation where I'm finding really cool multiplexes. If I like them, I keep them. If I don't, we're flipping or like just wholesaling off to other people. So I like to try to find a way to utilize and be efficient with my time. But that's what we're doing right now is wholesaling. I like it because it's a lot less risk for me. I don't have to worry about renovations. I don't have to worry about future property value. Right now, we're kind of just selling a transaction at a moment in time, and I'm not necessarily on the hook for it right now. So yeah.
I love that. I second that as well. I think a lot of people mistake or think that they're going to find financial freedom through cash flow. I bursted a lot of bubbles and saying that is not it. Obviously, it's great, but take it as a bonus, not as an active income, because it's just not. It's fickle. I say it comes and goes. You know, one bad situation can take your cash flow for a year. And ultimately, where I've been able to create some revenue streams is in the asset management and providing an active service, from like the virtual agency to the asset management to project management, anything that's active that you can match within your business, like Sarah said, that will provide you with an active income in return for your services, is an important part of maintaining yourself, you know, cash flowing and with an active income in real estate. I really appreciate that perspective. So agree with you. It's so true. Love that. Thank you. Ilona, you have recently started a consulting business, helping landowners navigate the land development process to achieve clarity on the highest and best use of their properties. What made you pivot to consulting, and where do you see the need in the marketplace for your services?
Yeah, so it's so funny the way that it came about. It's so funny because opportunities just come across our table, as you know. And one of my favorite things to do is network with people. And as I'm networking with investors and meeting new people, it just kind of fell onto my lap that people are like, oh, you're in development. I have land. You know, I have something that I'd love, like, can you add value to this? These people don't even know what they have. I'm like, you're sitting on a gold mine. Let me help you. So it just kind of happened. And the more I started talking about it, because I was just so excited about helping this one person add so much value to the land. And this is what we do for investors. And that's kind of how it came about, really. It was just an opportunity that came to me. You know, I could say I manifested it. I don't know. It's so much fun. It's already like Sarah was saying, you're just integrating the things that you're already doing. It's great cash flow for me. It's something that I can lend my experience to, especially for people that have really no idea. And the people that I'm serving is right now more so outside of our network, outside of like who's here, because a lot of people have the knowledge and or at least are looking to learn. So I'm really helping the people that are really busy. They're super successful. They have this land. They don't know what to do with it. That's where I come in, and it's super passive for them. They're like, here you go. I don't want to learn. I don't care what this, like, just call me when it's done, right? But having said that, now again, because I keep talking about it to other people in the network are also interested, because they're like, this is a little different than coaching. You know, coaching is when you're really wanting to do it yourself versus and learn and get the knowledge, versus consulting is really just the hand holding piece. Like, can you help me do this? Walk me through the process and actually do it so I can be the passenger in the transaction. While it's actually still getting done properly, right? And so a lot of people have a lot of fear surrounding development. They think it's overwhelming. So I've seen now more clients coming to me saying, hey, I just want to do this once. I want to make sure that I'm doing it properly. I will hire you to do it for me, but I really want to be intimately involved in the process. And that's when I can give them my connections and show them, this is when this happens. This is when the planner gets involved. This is how you know, so I'm happy to kind of do both. But that's kind of how it came up. And I'm excited to use the experience now from my own projects while I'm still doing my own projects too, because I know you use the word pivot, but I think it's just an addition to what I'm already doing. So I'm still doing land development. I'm still raising money for my own projects. It also gives me more time, because in the past, I would make all the cash flow off the fees and the things that we were doing in our business. Whereas now I'm really looking for those not that we weren't before, but I'm really just taking my time looking for those really amazing deals that I can acquire myself. And in the meantime, help people that already have land, have already acquired land, and I can lend my expertise to them.
I love that. I do remember when you got that first client, how excited you were and how we celebrated on the phone. So obviously great value that you get to offer them. And a win-win for everybody, which is what makes it all so valuable. I love that. Congratulations on that. So Nauta, your Airbnb arbitrage business brings a lot of value to investors looking for hands-on and experienced management for their long-distance vacation properties. Do you find Airbnb arbitrage to be a profitable cash flowing business? And I'm thinking for both you as a business owner of an arbitrage business, but also do you find that you're able, that the business, the model itself is able to provide high cash flowing opportunities for the investors as well?
Absolutely. I think it can provide cash flow in two ways. So as an investor who may own property, maybe a multi-unit property, investors can furnish their rentals and actually rent them as arbitrage properties to other Airbnb managers. The reason this is beneficial is because, especially when people are looking for Airbnb properties that aren't local, it takes time to design, set up, and do all the furnishings and all of that stuff and get the unit ready. So you can charge a fee for the unit. So if you have a unit available as an investor, maybe you have multiple units, you can charge somebody who's looking to arbitrage a deal a fee for the unit. You'll get your first and last month's rent. If it's furnished already, let's say it's a 1-bedroom, potentially you can charge them $10,000 to have a completely furnished unit that's ready to go. If you're local as well and you've already, you can connect them with access to the team. Should they decide that either they don't want to continue with that arbitrage opportunity or the lease, or for whatever reason they default, one, you don't have the risk of having to sort of play the market and figure out the business. Then when they do default or they decide not to extend their lease, you can then take that furnished unit again and give it to another arbitrage person for, again, another $10,000 for the furniture, plus the first month and the fee. So there's a way that you can keep on, as an investor, if you have multiple units and you furnish them, you can keep making money, more money than you would off a traditional rental without the hands-on management. So that's one aspect for investors. Another thing that I think is really helpful is, again, just understanding sort of the numbers. Generally, when you're looking at an arbitrage deal, you're going to look for something that's you can make 2x the rent. So if the rent is $1,000, you want to make about $2,000. As a good rule of thumb, you'd anticipate or expect a minimum of $1,000 per unit. That being said, if you know what your fire number is, so that number that you need to be able to leave your job, and you can get $1,000 cash flow per month per unit, you now need 20 units to get your 20K and you're out. So that's on the active management side. If you have a property that you're doing the active management to get the cash flow on, that's kind of what you're looking for. I think renting units is a good way for people who don't have a lot of cash flow to get started, to build cash flow, potentially leave their jobs, or to get cash flow to invest. So I think as an investor, whether you're active or passive or looking to get started, or you already have units, there's multiple ways you can kind of leverage short-term rentals and Airbnb to increase your cash flow without necessarily being active. You can still get involved in the space without having the day-to-day management and get some of the benefit there, or you can do the day-to-day management and get even more benefit. So that's how I see that.
I love that. I see it as an incredible value. I mean, property management alone it's such a valuable service to all of us that own properties, let alone Airbnb management, which is so much heavier on communications and turnovers and regulations. So obviously a really huge valuable service to a lot of investors that want to have short-term rentals, but don't really have the time or the expertise to deal with the day-to-day management, but wanted to experience the high cash flow. So I appreciate that. That's really great feedback. We're kind of wrapping up at this point. I just want everybody to give a little like hands or clap or like show of gratitude to these amazing ladies. As you may or may not know, Ilona and I are hosting a Miami mastermind, an all-inclusive, all women real estate event in beginning first week of April, April 5th to 9th. And all these ladies over here are coming to the Miami Mastermind. Donalta, Zara, and Sarah Eder will be there, plus a bunch of others that I see here on the screen. We wanted to be able to ask you one last question, which is the importance of mastermind and networks in your life, and what motivated and inspired you to sign up and attend the Miami Mastermind. I'm going to throw it to Zara first.
Masterminds are key. Key. We connected before we were in a mastermind, Adriana, you and I. Ilona, you and I didn't connect in person until we were in a mastermind. We've become such close friends and business partners. I am in a mastermind right now with my business coach, with nine women who are like, you know, I'm in awe that I'm in that room. And then coming to Miami, I'm sure I'm gonna feel the same way. It's that like intimate sort of relationship-based network that this is why I really close my practice in a sense to outside people, because I just want to keep growing and working with my own people. We have fun together, we make money together, we do business together, we get through problems together, we grow together, where there's, you know, we're always there to support each other, and our kids play together. It's such a beautiful life. This year is a crazy number that I've invested in masterminds, but I know it's going to come back tenfold. It's amazing. It really makes me, it fills me with a lot of joy.
Thank you, Zara. I know I met Ilona in a mastermind. I met Sarah Eder in a mastermind the first time. So powerful. So Donalta, what brings you to join We've been together at a mastermind too. This just shows you the power of your network, the power of the room that you're in, how much it elevates your business, it elevates your self-development in your life. So I get super passionate about it, as you can see. So now, what brings you to join the Miami Mastermind?
Yeah, so this is my first year independent, in the sense of like I just left the job. And one of the things I miss is the camaraderie. So having leadership, having people who are at or above my level that could challenge me, like give me new creative ideas. And one of the challenges I've experienced in this first year, just sort of running a business, is I'm the boss. Like everybody, I'm developing and learning, and everybody else is learning, but I am not being filled up and energized, and that's kind of what I'm missing. And you know, you and I have been to a mastermind, and it was a great experience in terms of, it was actually about a year ago, in terms of like business clarity and getting me to where I am today. So with that mastermind, I've been able to scale from like 5 to 20 units, and it's been phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to doing the same thing and connecting with more people and building more relationships. And yeah.
I love that. Sarah Eder.
You know, it's really easy for us to just work and get like so dialed into our business that we forget that, you know, we need connection, we need like nourishing for like our own selves and like our spirits a little bit too, because real estate's tough. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, as you know, Zara was mentioning today. Like I had a pretty intense day too, and I looked at Miami as being a bit of a reprieve for me, a time to kind of like unplug from my business, take a little me time. But also I definitely find like kind of like to echo Donalta, that as I get higher and higher into like my CEO zone, you know, I find there's fewer women at that level, and I feel myself kind of growing away from, you know, some of my high school friends and my old colleagues that I used to spend a lot of time with, and they just don't understand the pressures and the difficulties that I go through on a day-to-day basis. And I thought, oh, this will be so great. These are women I can open up to. These are women that get what I'm going through, the specific pressures of what it's like to be a CEO and be a breadwinner and run a thriving but kind of scary business sometimes. So I'm just looking forward to being with peers that I can really connect with and just get that kind of support and downtime. Yeah.
Thank you. So incredible words. I feel exactly the same. I say I feel exactly the same. Really an opportunity to retreat and recharge and gain clarity and, to move forward and scale, as well as just the bonding and the friendships that are formed in moments like that. So I'm very, very, can't wait, very excited. I'm gonna give Ilona a final word there. She wants to chime in.
I'm trying to conserve my voice, but I echo everything that Sarah's saying. I love it. I feel so blessed. I met, again, Zara, Adriana at a mastermind. We got really close. There's something in having those really close relationships. And like Zara said, we hang out with our kids, we go for drinks, we talk about business, we talk about relationships, we talk about family, we talk about the hardships, we talk about all the things. So it's so amazing to have people, and especially women in your corner, that understand you, are rooting for you, see you, sometimes when you don't even see yourself, right? Uplift you, no judgment, no, I could tell these women anything and be like, I think I effed up. And they're like, okay, me and Adriana always Adriana uses this word. She's like, let's brainstorm maybe a different solution here. I'm like, okay, so this means I did something. It's kind of my fault, but so I love that. I'm so excited for Miami. I'm so excited that these amazing women are coming. And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you, Adriana, for putting this together. Thank you so much to our panelists for coming. Thank you to all of you for being here. And I will let Adriana close it off.
I love that. Thank you. So true. We have a couple more spots left in this mastermind. The registration deadline is quickly approaching. So if you're interested, we have put in the chat there. I'll have Megan put it one more time so that it stays on top there. If you're interested, feel free to DM or reach out as well to us. Thank you, Donalta, Zara, Sarah, and Lona, for taking your time out of your day to come here and add value to everybody on this call. It just speaks volume about who you are, the values that you have, the inspiration that you bring to all of us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge, expertise, honesty, and transparency in all that you do. I love you all. Excited for Miami. Thank you so much for everybody that joined us today. I hope you got a lot of value from this call. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing you all very soon in future events. Thank you so much. I'll let you all go. Bye.